Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Influenced by Kim. I'm your host, Hofi Kim Cohen Myers, and I'm so grateful to have you here. And today, I actually am really excited to share this. This is going to be an interesting podcast episode. So, 2 nights ago, I had joined a cacao ceremony, which I will explain what it is in a minute. It's a spiritual thing. And it was my first time ever having someone do Kundalini on me. If you don't know what Kundalini is, it's literally activating you to like 5D, to like the quantum field, we'll call it that. I've done it myself before, but I've never actually had somebody else activate me. And it was such a profound experience. And I kind of want to share like all the things, because in my world, we're always exploring new things. If anything is spiritual, I'm always down. I'm always down. I mean, right, to an extent. Like I love trying like new ceremonies, new, spiritual things. I love new moon rituals and, setting intentions. Essentially anything that is like about raising your vibrational frequencies, setting goals, making your dreams come true, raising your vibrations, reaching higher levels of consciousness. Like I'm the first person to sign up. Sound baths, yoga, all sorts of different things. And I'd love to like share this entire experience because I feel like some people never have done a ceremony, like a cacao ceremony. This was my second one, and other people don't know what Kundalini is. So kind of let's just dive into this magical event night that my friend threw the other day. Without further ado, let's get started. Hello, everyone. Okay, let's dive into this. This is so fucking cool. Like, all of this just is so full circle. I had such a magical, profound sisterhood night with a few beautiful souls, and they were mostly like, I won't say all strangers, but like, yes and no. And it's so crazy what happens when you just get a group of people or women that are just, operate from their soul versus their ego and have their heart open and are just in such a feminine receiving frequency of sisterhood. Like the magic that gets to happen on the other side is so profound, and I can't wait to share this with you guys. And I also think that part of the reason why it was so transformative to me is because sisterhood energy just never felt safe to me growing up. I mean, my sisters, yes, my actual two sisters are my world, but I've always been the type of character that has more guy friends than girlfriends. I'm more in my masculine energy. I always have like lots of guy friends by a lot for so many different reasons. And one of the reasons is that girls have just, like, growing up, maybe it's an LA thing, maybe it's because of who I used to be thing, but yes and no. But like, I just feel like growing up, I used to just attract girls that I thought were my friends that would use me, take advantage of me, literally steal like my clothes from my house or things from my mom's bathroom, or backstab me, humiliate me, try to steal my boyfriend, try to do like vindictive things. People, girls, women, that I thought were my best friends always had like a secret agenda happening. I was like so authentic in the relationship, and I was like so naive and like unaware and gullible, like that I didn't understand that they didn't actually have my best interest at heart. I have an infinite amount of stories, and I feel like most women have an infinite amount of stories of like girls doing fucked up shit to them. They thought that they were their friends. Or maybe it's just me. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe because I put myself out there and I didn't set like clear boundaries. And growing up, I just wanted to have friends that I would allow like a lot of leaky, lacky, bad energy into my field. And after many years of just getting backstabbed by so many women and girls, I just kind of cringed at the idea of having girlfriends. I just didn't see the point of it. I liked the way that guys think better. There's like no drama. They just say what they think. It's just like very blunt energy. It's very straightforward. It's not like hiding and all the things. So it took me like many years to lean into like girlfriends, you know what I mean? I'm still like not fully in it, like 1 foot in, 1 foot out, because every time I trusted, there were always some shady shit that went down when I like basically essentially put my guard down. So the ceremony was really special to me because I really leaned into sisterhood and like the feminine energy. For many years, I didn't know that I was like super masculine energy. And I am both. Like we all are both, even men and women. We sometimes like everyone's like wired differently, but some women or men lean more into one thing versus the other. Like some women, they're both masculine and feminine, but they lean more into their masculine energy. Or some women lean more into their feminine energy and are a little less masculine, but so do guys. A lot of guys lean more into their feminine energy than in their masculine energy. And I really want to create a masterclass on all of this because it's so profound and healing. Like once you actually understand all of this, it's a masterclass that I've wanted to create for like a year now, but so being super, like, not super masculine, right? Like I feel like I have two personalities. I have like the girly girl unicorn loving stars and rainbows in the sky, dancing in the middle of the street, talking to animals, right? And like love my girlfriends and all the things. And I have a very masculine, go-getter, in your face, opinionated personality that's very straightforward, very masculine, very go-go, very goal-oriented. I lean more into that. And I've also had to learn to lean into the more of the feminine energy because I know I'm the opposite. And so I always talk about duality inside of my program, energetic codes. And so leaning into the thing that you are not. And so I think that one of the reasons that this was so profound is that I really leaned into my feminine energy in this like ceremony. And I trusted that I was meant to be there with the right people. And it really felt like something out of the movie. Like the energy that was there in the cacao ceremony really felt like some serious sisterhood bond of spiritual tribes, like high vibrational thing. Like I feel like that's how women are supposed to act and be with one another. I'll dive into it in a little bit, but let's get back to the cacao ceremony because I literally was crying the entire meditation. And this was like crying, but like gratitude, happy, like high vibrational tears. Like the whole thing was like really life-changing to me. And if there's any way that I can like really put this entire event, I would say that I've done a lot of different cool spiritual, I tried so many different spiritual things in my life, you know, traveling the world and stuff. Like I've done really cool things in Sri Lanka and in India. And I've, you know, been to Sedona and like met with shamans and just, you know, I've done so many cool different things. But literally the event that happened, the cacao ceremony event, was definitely top 5 like most profound spiritual experiences of my life. So I would love to just like dive in and share it with you guys. Okay, so here's the thing. For many years, I've kind of toyed around and played with like the spiritual realm as like a public thing. I don't really know how to even explain this, but I've battled with myself lots. I've gone lots of back and forths on this. It's one of those things that I've always kind of publicly done, like 1 foot in, 1 foot out, 1 foot in, 1 foot out, wiggling around it and having to get comfortable with like just being like this vulnerable, like even having this conversation. Like if you talk to like 2017 version of me, I would love to have these types of conversation publicly, but I didn't like have the guts, or I was just like, I don't even know how to explain it. Actually, I do. Just kidding. It's funny. Somebody taught me a long time ago that whenever you say you don't know, it's actually not true. You actually do know. You say you don't know because you don't want to like fully own your power, or you say you don't know, sometimes fear of judgment or doubting yourself, but we actually always do know. Or you don't want to give yourself like enough credit, or sound like too wise or too smart, because it's just like there's so many subconscious reasons why we say like, I don't know, but like we do know. So sometimes I'm like, I don't know. And then I catch myself, I'm like, actually, I do know. Actually, I do. I just get that download like, girl, you know. Okay, so here's the thing. I'm going to get deeper on this on a different episode, but like I've always had spiritual powers. It's funny because you watch me talk about something else real quick. And not the topic, no, but there's always an introduction. So, you know, growing up, I guess you can say that like I tapped into like really, and I guess that's how it is. Maybe, I don't know how it's like for other people. I sometimes see kids on Instagram that like Instagram or TikTok that are like these crazy spiritual beings at like the age of 5 or like the age of 3, and they talk all this wisdom and they're like tapping into past life regression and like, kids that have magic powers and psychic abilities at like really young ages, which we all can have if you're like led by the right parents. If your parents know about the spiritual realm and all the things, because your veil is very thin as a kid, because you're just like a sponge to information, and you're more pure. You just came from the other side, right? So your veil is thinner. You're more susceptible to your supernatural abilities. And if you're guided by like your parents, if your parents are spiritual, they'll help you like tap into that and bring that out. Versus a parent who their child is not, a parent that's not spiritual. The parents are not spiritual. And so when a child says like, I see someone in this room, and the parents are like, you're fucking crazy. You have an imaginary friend. But like, are they? Are they crazy? Because I've seen spirits and I've seen ghosts and I've seen entities and I've seen things. But people will think like, oh, he's just talking to his imaginary friend. Or I don't know. I've really seen all spectrums of the scales. Like I've seen kids tell their parents that, in my past, they don't say in my past life, but they talk as though they are the person from their past life. Like they'll say stuff like, oh, I used to have a brother. And the mom will be like, no, you don't. There's so many layers of this. Like sometimes the parents aren't aware of what the child is actually saying. Sometimes the parents are spiritual and they're like, you did, like, tell me more. And then you have, right, the encouraging parents that are spiritually, that are open, that are letting the child express themselves. Then you have the parents that are just like, they're not spiritual and they don't get it. And they think that you're crazy. I love my parents, but those are the types of parents that I had. So I feel like if you're guided, then your parents help you tap into your powers more. But growing up, I had like little sparkles of my spiritual powers, but I didn't fully tap into it. So I feel like there are those kids that are just supernatural, like since the day they're born, and you can just tell like this soul is not from around here. This is an old soul. I've had like friends give birth to babies and they're like, when I brought her from the hospital, she used to stare at me like really intensely. Like she knows things, right? Like I've heard all sorts of things, but I think that for like the majority of people, I feel like for the majority of kids, like they just tap into their supernatural abilities like little by little by little. And so it's weird because I had supernatural abilities, but I didn't know it in a way because no one ever taught it to me. And my parents are not spiritual. And so it's just like, it's really about like what's normalized in your house, right? But I always used to watch shows like Alex Mack on Nickelodeon, or just like, I don't know, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, or like the Olsen twins. I don't know. There were so many different like movies and shows as a kid growing up where characters would have supernatural abilities, and I'd be like, I want to have those. I'm so jealous. And I would try so many things that I saw in movies. I've said that like in previous episodes, but I would try so many different things that I would see in movies. I would try to like levitate people. Like I watched The Craft as like a 5th grader. I have no idea why my parents ever let me do that. My parents let me watch anything as a kid, and sometimes that created a lot of trauma. Like me and my brother would watch like scary movies that traumatized us. But what are the movies we'd watch? Craft, and we'd try to like levitate people, our friends. We would watch movies and try to like do like weird things, like call spirits and like candles and do meditations, or do the craziest shit. But like I didn't know that it was real. I believed it so much, all the weird things that I would do as a kid. I believed that people have magic powers, but I feel like I believed it like it was real. And then reality in the world was like, no, that's just a movie. But I like really believed in these things. And so I had supernatural abilities always, but I thought that it's supposed to be like in the movies, where it's like supernatural abilities in movies are so dramatic and amplified. And it's not like that in real life when you do have supernatural abilities. And I feel like movies sometimes drift your brain into thinking, oh, well, if it's not this extreme, then I don't have the power. I feel like it's also an elite government agenda when it comes to like movies and Hollywood and things. So that like I had magic powers, but it wasn't like Wonder Woman that like with her hands like made boom, or like, like this like Marvel movies where like shit's flying, or you know what I mean? But I definitely think that kids have magic powers. And so the thing with me as a spiritual soul, I'm like the oldest child. I moved a lot. So it's like friendships were always hard to maintain and obtain. My parents were not spiritual. And so I always reached really high levels of spirituality, but I had like no one to talk to about it. And so it was just like a secret. And so I kept it a secret. I protected it. I manifested things and I thought I had magic powers. And I was like these characters in the movies. And this all ties in with like what I'm about to say, because it just felt like I had no one to ask. And I also didn't know that like religion and spirituality are like two different entities. And so I just didn't even know, like I thought religion and spirituality is the same thing, and it's actually not. A podcast episode for a different day. If you guys want that, let me know somewhere. But like, I just, and like to this day, FYI, like I would love it if I had someone, I would have loved it the entire time if I had someone that had more spiritual powers than me. That way, well, and I guess I kind of do. I do have an aunt, but I didn't discover that my aunt had it for a long time. I just actually realized that. So I didn't actually discover that my aunt had supernatural abilities for most of my life, but she's taught me a lot and I've leaned into her. But like most of my life, I didn't have a relationship with her until I was like over 18. Most of my life, I didn't have anyone to lean into, to ask questions. And so it was just spirituality and my supernatural gifts and just the other rooms and all the things were just something that I've always been curious about. I didn't know that I had powers because it wasn't like in the movies. So I didn't label it as like that. But at the same token, I would have really supernatural experiences, but I didn't know what they were called. Like when I was shown the movie The Secret, the actual documentary version of it with like Bob Proctor and stuff, not the new movie, weird one with Katie Holmes that sucks. It's terrible. They like ruined it. Not that one. But like when I watched the movie The Secret, everything made sense to me. One of my ex-boyfriends showed it to me and I was like, and he thought he just showed me like the craziest thing, which it is for most people. But when the movie was done, he's like, so what'd you think? And I was like, yeah, like I know these things. I've been doing them for years. Like, how do you think I got my Mercedes convertible at the age of 21, driving the same car as Britney Spears in a house on the beach? And I'm friends with half of fucking Hollywood, and Paris Hilton's my really good friend. And, you know, I know all these celebrities. Yeah, like this is what I've been doing. I just didn't know that it had a name. But now I know it's called, what is it? Manifestation? It's so funny. This happened when I was 22, actually. And then like I was like, yeah, like now I know it's called the law of attraction and manifestation. I didn't ever heard these terms before. They definitely gave me clarity, but like I didn't know. You don't know what you don't know, right? And so he was actually like really pissed that I knew about manifestation and the law of attraction because he was very competitive. I'm very competitive. He's very competitive. We had a really toxic relationship. This is my ex-boyfriend / ex-fiance. When I was 22, I was engaged. One of my high school sweetheart, whatever you want to call it. And our relationship was so toxic. It was beyond. And it was always a competition and very ego-based relationship. He was a narcissist. It's pretty bad. But he got mad at me because I already knew. I just didn't know how to name. So that was kind of wild. And so a lot of times, like I said, it's like I had spiritual powers, but I didn't actually know what I was doing, what it was called, what the technicality of it all. The internet wasn't what it was. Like everything was just very different. And so it's like I always had to hide my gifts, hide my secrets when it comes to spiritual stuff. I didn't even know that I had powers because I didn't know the names for things. And then I never had someone that was above me. To this day, even though my aunt is spiritual, I'm still above her in like experiences in the spiritual realm, generalness. And so it's like when you're at the top of your circle, you have no one to lean into or ask questions because you're like scared to even talk about these things. You just feel weird because no one knows what the fuck you're talking about a lot of times. It's so funny. I'm like saying this and I'm like, wow, like I was really beyond my years when it came to the spiritual realm. because now everyone's like manifestation, but like, no, that was not the reality 20 years ago. But I mean, like, so when I'm saying all these things, like, here's like an example. Like when I got Dr. Joe Dispenza's book in 2019, and I did my first meditation of 5D to go to the quantum field, like literally the fifth dimension. Like it's actually a place. And there's meditations, and it's actually a really hard meditation to get to 5D. It's really hard. If you want to know how to do that, then you buy the book Becoming Supernatural by Dr. Joe Dispenza, How Common People Are Doing the Uncommon. It literally gives you such a good like step by step. I did it the first time and it freaked me the fuck out. So that, yeah, maybe I'll tell that story in a different day, because that is the highest level of the most profound spiritual experience I've ever had, doing Dr. Joe Dispenza's meditation. But like, here's the thing. He talks, when you read Becoming Supernatural, which is, by the way, like 5D meditation is also known as Kundalini. I didn't know that because Dr. Joe Dispenza didn't use those terminologies because he's a neuroscientist. He's like a spiritual brain doctor that teaches people how to become supernatural. It's really cool. It's like mysticism. He like basically debunks all the mysticism and like breaks it down into science, but like makes it really interesting. He's incredible. I love him. But like when I did my 5D meditation, I want to call it 5D meditation. Like I guess so, we'll call it that. It's definitely an out-of-body experience. And when I did it, I came back to earth after, like, I woke up and I was freaked the fuck out and I had no one to talk to about it. Back then, I didn't really have that many spiritual friends. And again, even if I did, no one would even understand what the fuck I'm talking about. It would just be so beyond them. It's 5D meditation, like Kundalini, like going to 5D. It's like, I feel like it's the highest level of like, if there's like a pyramids of levels, or like if there's like levels, I feel like that's like the highest level. I'm sure that there's higher levels, but it's definitely the highest, like, or one of the top highest experiences you could have here as a physical human being. And so when you reach that level and you have no one to talk to about it, it feels scary. It feels really overwhelming. It feels really, it's a lot. It's a lot. And I got scared but I feel like if I had friends at the time that knew what 5D was, that knew what Kundalini was, I didn't know it was fucking called Kundalini until like a couple years later. And there's different levels of Kundalini too. There's like base length, there's like deep. It's like, there's so many different things about it. Kundalini, by the way, is like, it's not 5D, but it is a component. It is one of the steps of entering 5D. It's like one of the beginning steps, we'll call it. If I had a friend though, at the time, if I was like best friends with Elizabeth at the time, for someone that's spiritual like that, that I can talk to about it and be like, hey, I just did this meditation, we would think it's cool. But because I had no one to lean into, it was like, I just felt the most fucking craziest human experience I've ever had in my life. I have no one to talk to. I'm fucking scared. My house is scary. Because one of the things that happened in that meditation was that I had, those like Christmas lights. So I just love lights. I love like sparkly things. I'm afraid of the dark because I see things that most people don't. And I would have lights around my bed. Those like Christmassy lights, the cute little whatever, you get it, that you decorate your balcony with. And they were like white lights. And I did this, and I had a canopy bed, and I had like a dream catcher above my bed. And it was like really cute fucking room, and the lights were like in the back. Okay, so when you do a 5D meditation and you try to go to the quantum, like to the fifth dimension, like you are having like body compulsion. You are vibrating at insane frequencies, higher than 1,000, which on the 5D, on the like consciousness map of vibrational frequencies, 0 being death, 20 being shame and guilt, 1,000, which is the highest vibrational frequency to be on earth on, is 1,000, which is enlightenment. You can look this up. But when you're doing 5D meditation, you're fucking off the chart. You're literally electrocuting and vibrating like a fucking light bulb. You get compulsions. You feel like you're being electrocuted. I know it sounds fucking crazy. Your chakras are all activated, your spine, there's like voltages. It's fucking insane, you guys. It's I was not prepared. I was not prepared for what I signed up for. I was just so excited to do it, and I so believed that I could, which is how I got there. And then what happened was you feel all these crazy things like in your body. I promise I will make a different podcast episode about it. But when I woke up, I had those Christmassy lights. They were in white, and I had them in the living room, and I had them in my bedroom, and they like halfly exploded. Did you hear me? They exploded, and half of them, when I woke up, it scared the shit out of me, you guys. I can't even believe I'm talking about this. I have pictures of this. I was freaked out to be in my house. When I woke up, like half the lights were off and the other half were like bright, like crazy. They were so bright, like no setting does it like that. Like they were about to explode. Like I was fucking 11 from Stranger Things, okay? Like, and I was so scared of what I was capable of doing, and I had no one to lean into and talk to about it, and it scared me so fucking bad, and I like panicked. Since then, I've done it one other time. No, I've done it like two. No, nothing will ever be though like that first experience, because I have a place where I'm like blocked off because I was like, that's a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot. I'm really fucking scared. I'm freaked out. Even though it's supposed to be a very high vibrational thing. But like at the end of the day, we live in the 3D. And when you try to enter other dimensions, you have to be prepared, and you have to like really rise energetically. And a lot of times, we're not supposed to be there. We're supposed to be here. That's why we're here, right? But if you do go there, it's very overwhelming to the 3D human being, no matter how spiritual you are. And so I'm going to get to the original point, is that for me, so I've always been that person essentially that's like at the highest level. I don't know anybody that's like done a Kundalini meditation to 5D like 20 times. I would have loved that. It would have made my experience so different. I've always been like, people always outsourced me for spiritual experiences and asked me, but I've never had somebody to ask things to, if that makes sense. Unless it was like, so I would just like see people like online, like mentors and coaches, and I would read books and stuff, but there was nobody that I physically knew. And so for years, I would share stories with my mom and my sister, and they would jokingly call me a witch, which is funny or not. But I just felt so alone in the spiritual experience, and I've always wanted to make it part of my brand, but it's also really personal to me. Like my spiritual gifts, my spiritual experiences, like I've been hiding it from the fucking world. My mom calls me a fucking witch. My sister calls me a witch because I manifest things like madness, and it's really powerful as fuck. It's not for everyone. I'm lucky that my mom and my sister, my mom's not spiritual, but she'll listen. She doesn't judge, and she listens. My sister loves this shit. My middle sister. So at least I have them. But so I've always wanted to make it like my public thing. But I've always been scared because again, like I don't have that like above. I still don't. But I do have like really close friends now that are really spiritual, because the more I open myself up to the world and like normalized it, there's so many layers to being comfortable and confident in that field out in public. I love people that just like own that shit like no tomorrow. I feel like, again, it's because I had to hide it most of my life, and I've done so much work around it on trying to make it public. And I've tried to do that so many different times in my career. Like when I first started my blog in 2014, I tried to make it public, but like I couldn't. I tried and I was like, And then in 2018, I tried making it public, and I did, but then I stopped. It's like I always go and I stop and I go and I stop and I talk, but I'm like, I don't want people to think that I'm fucking crazy, because it's too much, because most people don't even know what the fuck I'm talking about, because it's so high level. And there's so much I need to catch up on and do in order to even be able to understand what I'm talking about, that I have to teach them all these things so that I can have these conversations. It's like, it's a lot. And then I feel like I have to dumb down my information level. So it's like I always go back and forth on it. But now we're like sharing. We're sharing, and it's really powerful and meaningful. And it's taken me like a really long time to be able to even like have these types of conversations publicly. I would love to have them on my feed. And even on Instagram, I like kind of go back and forth on it, because I'm like, is this too much? is this too much? And I know the answer. The answer is no, because I know that the right people are going to come, but it's like I need to feel okay with this. So I guess this is like the first step of feeling good about it publicly. And so, yeah, that's like a snippet real quick into like not my spiritual, like the reason why I don't talk about it so openly, but like I'm working on talking about it openly. And now it's crazy because the world has become really spiritual and I fucking love it. I'm like, oh, like where were all these people and things like many years ago? But so I love all the spiritual experiences, the seminar, the courses, the workshops, all the things. And I do plan on having retreats and workshops. It's definitely something that I'm really excited about that I'm going to launch this year, like an in-person retreat where we get to do spiritual stuff and mentorship. And like, I have this whole plan. I'm gonna tell you guys about it soon, but just giving you guys a little heads up, snippet, secret. Stay tuned for that. Be on the lookout for it. It's going to be sick as fuck. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to end this podcast episode because I have so much more to say, but I don't want this podcast episode to be like a 2-hour long one. So I'm going to break this podcast episode into 2 different pieces. So today you get this one and come back tomorrow and the next one will be there. So I love you guys. I'll see you in the next podcast episode. I have like so much more to share, but I don't want to overwhelm you. So stay tuned for tomorrow for the next episode. Bye.